Okay, wonderful. Oh my goodness, it's so fun to be back with this amazing group. And I am so excited about the timing because I can still say Chodesh Tov for a little bit longer when I look out the window here. And also to be entering the 9 days with you all and to be talking about forgiveness as we enter the 9 days is a really special thing to be doing. So thank you so much for inviting me back and for spending this time with me today. I'm going to do the very best I can to be done in an hour because I know we all have a lot going on. All right. Oh, okay, we're talking about forgiveness. And forgiveness, my friends, sounds like a very easy concept. Like, oh, of course we should forgive until it becomes personal. As soon as there is a face attached to a hurt, it becomes a whole lot more challenging. All right, so before we start, if you are in a situation where you can take out a pen and paper, that would be amazing. Zahava, you're not, and it's no problem at all. It's just 2 minutes, it's no worries in the slightest. I just want you to take a couple of minutes. I'm going to ask you to write down 3 things. I'm going to put it in the chat.
Let's see if I have.
So number one, I want you to write, no, you're not going to share this. So please, you be completely honest. No one is going to see this. Number one, I want you to write down one person you'd like to forgive. Someone in your life hurt you, and you'd really like to forgive them. Number two is one thing you'd like to forgive yourself for. And number three is one person who you hurt from whom you'd like to seek forgiveness. Okay, so the name of one person you'd like to forgive, one thing you'd like to forgive yourself for, and then one person from whom you'd like to seek forgiveness. You've hurt them and you'd like to ask them for forgiveness. And when you have those 3 written down, give me a thumbs up. There's no rush. Does anyone need more time? Please. Yes, please. So have a take your time.
I also need time.
Please, Mindy, go ahead. Take your time. And Zahaba and Mindy, no rush at all. Just give me a thumbs up when you're done, and anyone else who perhaps needed more time, just so that I know that you're ready.
I really like. Nothing's coming to me for.
No worries.
I feel better about myself.
Yeah, I only had one thing that I want to forgive myself for, but the other two.
Beautiful, beautiful. Don't worry. Write down the categories because we're not solving it all tonight, right?
Yeah, I wrote it down.
This is something you can spend time with. It's no problem at all. So we're okay if we move on?
Yeah.
Is that all right?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Wonderful. Okay. Now, if you can come off mute and just call out, you don't need to be polite about this. I'd love you to finish the sentence. For anyone in your life that you'd like to be able to forgive, someone who's really hurt you, I want you to finish the sentence, I could forgive him or her if.
Okay,
They
actually
admit,
just go. You could
Go,
speak.
go.
You could speak.
if they admit what they did.
Beautiful.
So
Beautiful. Not
I
if they
thought
admit
of
what they did.
somebody.
Mindy?
I
Yeah.
was gonna say if they acknowledge, like, yeah,
If
if
Right.
they
they
acknowledge.
acknowledge. Beautiful.
Yeah.
If they admit, if they acknowledge, what else, Sahava? Were you going to say something?
If they apologize to,
Mm,
yeah.
beautiful. Anyone else?
Is it okay if it's not really to me?
100%. 100%. Totally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mine's
If they
not realistic
change.
because for me, it would be that the person would have to change or the person,
That's what I.
but the
That's what
person
I
won't.
said.
But the person
No, no,
won't.
no. No, no, no. I didn't ask you to justify anything. I just asked you to finish the sentence.
Okay.
I
Okay?
love this.
If the person changes,
But
beautiful.
it's not realistic.
100%.
Okay.
If the person
Okay.
changes, I love it. Go ahead.
Same.
What else?
If they
Same.
change.
Start
If the
Rochelle?
person was
start the
honest on all,
sentence. Sandy, start the sentence again.
Hold on. I just want Rochelle to have an opportunity to finish her thought, and then I will. Go ahead, please.
if this person like played fairly on both sides, was real on all ends.
Beautiful. So the sentence says, I could forgive him or her if, and we heard, if they apologized, if they acknowledged, if they changed, if they were trustworthy, played fair, whatever words we want to use with that.
Okay, for me, if they wanted to be forgiven.
If they wanted to be forgiven. Beautiful. Anything else? We hit the big ones here. Okay. So we used the word if, and you had things to put over that word. Do you know what that put after that word? Do you know what that word if means? It means we're waiting. We're waiting for them to apologize. We're waiting for them to acknowledge. They're waiting for them to change, whether or not it's realistic. We're waiting for them to behave differently, be honest, whatever it is. Okay, so what happens if those things never come? The question is, does that mean forgiveness is impossible? And that's what we're going to dive into and explore tonight. Maybe we've misunderstood what forgiveness actually is. And so we're going to explore some ideas around what forgiveness might be. Okay? With me? You're open to this? Yes?
Yes.
All right. Let's go. Fantastic. People tend to ask themselves the question, can I forgive? I think the better question is, what does forgiveness actually look like? What does forgiveness expect of me or ask of me? And I will tell you the reason that I became so fascinated with the area of forgiveness, the Torah's view on forgiveness, psychology's view on forgiveness, it is because in my life I have struggled to forgive people who've hurt me in a variety of ways. And I think I'm not that unusual. I think a lot of people struggle to forgive. So I want to teach you 3 things that I've had to learn about forgiveness. These things may be obvious to you. If they are, you'll just nod your head. It's all good. But there are 3 particular principles that I've had to learn that I want to share with you. The first thing I had to learn was that forgiveness does not minimize the hurt. A lot of people feel afraid to forgive because they feel like they're saying it means the hurt didn't matter. It means that the person is getting away with something. It means that my feelings aren't valid. Forgiveness does not mean those things. Okay, how do I know this? Judaism asks us to forgive. Hashem asks us to forgive. Hashem never asks us to call wrong things right. He never asks us to do that. So it doesn't mean that the person didn't do something wrong and that I wasn't hurt. If someone betrayed you, they betrayed you. If someone lied to you, they lied to you. If someone caused you deep hurt, they caused you deep hurt. We're not asking for reality to be excused, for people's behavior to be excused. But the question to ask yourself is, what do I want to do next with this hurt? Do I want this hurt to define my day, my year, my decade, my life? And then it becomes your decision. You're not waiting for another person to apologize or change or become accountable or be honest or do any of those things. And I wanted to just kind of sum this up in one principle that I think may be helpful, and I will send you, like I did last time. It might take me a couple of days, but I will send you in Emetz Hashem just the brief notes so you kind of have the structure. Forgiveness is not excusing the hurt, but it's refusing to let the hurt define us. So it's giving you back your power and your control, but it is not excusing the hurt. And some people really just feel like, but if I forgive, it's like it means the hurt didn't happen. And I want to give you a really physical analogy. Like if someone, chas v'shalom, breaks a bone, please God, the bone heals, right? Does it mean the break didn't happen? No. The injury happened. It's the same thing with emotional hurt. The emotional hurt happened, but what we do with that emotional hurt defines how we move forward. Okay, so basically forgiveness isn't saying it didn't matter. It's saying it mattered deeply, but I'm choosing how I'm going to let that hurt define the rest of my life. Okay, that's the first principle I had to learn. Forgiveness does not minimize hurt. All right, the second principle I needed to learn is that forgiveness and reconciliation are not the same thing. Now, reconciliation, when it happens, when it can happen, is a beautiful thing. It requires a lot of trust, a lot of repair. Here's what reconciliation also requires. Two people coming together to rebuild trust, to repair the rupture. Forgiveness requires one person, me. So I do not necessarily have control over reconciliation because I cannot control another person's feelings and their middas and their behavior. But I do have control over forgiveness because that only takes me. So I'll give you an example. Probably, I don't know, maybe 6 months after or a year after COVID started, I had a friendship which I felt like was a really close friendship, ended very abruptly. I bumped into this friend in the shaitel store, and it was like she could hardly talk to me. And I reached out to her, asked her what I had done. Firstly, I asked her, I think, am I right? There's something going on? Because that was really uncomfortable. And she was like, yeah, you're right. And I said, okay, you want to tell me what's going on, etc. She said, nope, I'm not comfortable talking about it. And that was the end of the friendship. Later on, probably a couple of years later, she actually reached out, invited us for Shabbos a few times, felt like she really wanted to be friends again. By that time, even though there was a lot of hurt involved, I had done a lot of work on the forgiveness, and I really had forgiven her. I wished her well, but I knew clearly that I could not be in a relationship where someone is not able to tell me if I've done something wrong, what I've done wrong, and be honest about that. So there was no need for reconciliation. I was very clear that I didn't feel safe in that friendship. And so I felt very good about healthy boundaries. And many times with forgiveness, we forgive people and we wish them well at a distance. Forgiveness and healthy boundaries are not mutually exclusive at all. Many times we forgive and we have healthy boundaries in place. So forgiveness does not always mean reconciliation. You cannot control the other person, which means you can't control reconciliation. You can control yourself, so you can forgive. And many times forgiveness will mean healthy boundaries. Okay, so principle number one, forgiveness does not minimize the hurt, but it lets us define how the hurt is going to impact the rest of our lives. And number two, forgiveness does not mean reconciliation. Forgiveness can absolutely mean healthy boundaries. Okay. The third thing I had to learn, this was a hard one for me. I had to learn that forgiveness is not a one-time decision. Like, I felt like forgiveness was like graduation. Like, you work really hard and then you have graduation, and then like Shalom Yisrael, like you're good, moving on, it's done. So I'd be like, accomplished, feel good about the other person. I'm like able to send them positive energy, feel good about them. Took me a long time, I'm good. And then something would happen. Something would mention their name in a particular context. Something would trigger a memory. I'd, be with them in passing, because you can't always avoid people you've forgiven, particularly if they're part of your, extended family. And they'd say something and those feelings would come up all over again. And I'd feel like, okay, I'm a forgiveness failure. That's it. I don't know how to do this forgiveness thing. And then I really started to understand that forgiveness is not like graduation. It's like marriage. So marriage, you make a decision to be together, you commit, and then you make a decision over and over and over and over again. You keep choosing your person over and over again. Thousands of questions. And forgiveness is often the same. Every time the resentment resurfaces, you're choosing again to do that emotional work and to forgive again. Not because something, the thing they did suddenly became okay, but because, again, we're choosing to not let that hurt define the rest of our lives. And I actually found it incredibly hopeful and helpful, because it doesn't mean that difficult feelings coming back means we failed at forgiveness. It's just another opportunity to forgive again at a deeper level. You know how we talk about in Yiddishkeit, there's not a circle of time, right? There's a spiral of time. We come back to the same point in the year, for example, but always at a higher level. It's the same thing with our forgiveness spiral. We may have to forgive again, but this time it's at a deeper level. We understand even more deeply. We have deeper compassion, etc. So 3 principles. Number 1, forgiveness doesn't minimize the hurt. Just helps us redefine how the hurt impacts our lives. Number 2, forgiveness does not mean reconciliation. Many times forgiveness means healthy boundaries. And number 3, forgiveness is not a one-time decision. It's like marriage. It's not like graduation. Okay. And I'm going to open it up soon so we can kind of talk about these 3 principles. But before we go there, the most common question I get when I do my forgiveness coaching is, how do I start to forgive? Like, I don't even know where to start. I'm angry, I'm upset, I'm hurt, I don't know where to start. All right, so I'm going to let you know that I think the best place to start to crack the door open on forgiveness, and sometimes it's just a tiny crack in the door that we're making, is to start to view the other person as a flawed human being, as opposed to the villain in the story. So what do I mean by this? One of my mentors, Rebbetzin Ruchi Kovel, she has a line that I absolutely love, and I'm going to read it to you. It's in her book called Soul Construction, which I highly recommend. I'm going to read it so I get it right. She says, we want people to do the best they can with the tools we have. But they're doing the best they can with the tools they have. I'm going to say it one more time. We want people to do the best they can with the tools we have. But they're doing the best they can with the tools they have. And every time I remember that, I catch myself, because I'm very quick to judge other people using my toolbox. Like, I would have apologized. I would have reached out. I would never have said that. I'm more spiritually evolved, self-aware, superior. Okay? And maybe I would have apologized or reached out or done the better thing, but I'm using the tools I have. The person who's hurting me has an entirely different toolkit. They have different experiences, different wounds, different fears, different issues, different upbringing, different view on the world. So please hear what I'm not saying. I'm not saying everybody's making wonderful choices. No. Some people make terrible choices. Some people behave in inexcusable ways. Some people repeatedly hurt others. And we know that Yiddishkeit believes in accountability. We are required to take responsibility. But, and here's where I think the rubber meets the road. Accountability and compassion are not opposites. Just because they're not taking accountability doesn't mean you don't have to have compassion. And if you have the ability to see any part of them as a flawed human being, you will struggle with their behavior, as you should, because they're not behaving correctly. But you will have some compassion for them as a human being, and that will let you crack open the door to forgiveness. And I'm not going to pretend forgiveness is an easy process. It's not. For some really big hurts, it can be years or decades of work. But it's a tremendous accomplishment just to start to crack open that door. Okay, now I'm going to talk at you a little longer. I promise we're going to have lots of talking time here. Just want to present a couple more principles. All right, so that's great. So we've talked about if someone's hurt you. Now, my friends, we're going to talk about if you've hurt someone else. Because I don't know about you, I'm very far from a malach, so I know that I walk through the world hurting people. Inadvertently, most of the time. I hope I'm not mean, but there are definitely times, especially with, long history, maybe with members of my extended family, where I'll get a little dig in there, for example. I won't be like the nicest version of myself. So I've definitely hurt other people. Okay. I love the Rambam's teaching on this. The Rambam says when we apologize, we have to use the word, the word he uses is mifayes. Mifayes means we have to soften the other person's heart. Okay, you know what this reminds me? It reminds me that the apology is not for me to feel better. It's not to make me feel better. I need to be working to soften the other person's heart. And so when we talk about this concept of when we're asking people to forgive us, we're going to have a little bit of fun here. Tell me, just call out, what, my friends, does not belong in an apology? Tell me about your worst apologies that you've heard. Give me some words that go in the worst apologies.
I did
An
it
excuse.
because.
I did it because. Malky, I love that. Elisa, were you saying something?
But.
But, oh, yes,
so
yes.
sorry,
I'm very sorry, but,
But.
yes.
But
Yeah.
you.
But you're
You.
awful, so.
Yeah. Or, I'm sorry you were offended, right? I'm sorry I can't say these things around you.
way.
I'm sorry you feel that way. Exactly. Zahava, were you going to say something?
I said an excuse, which was really what Maki said.
Beautiful. Yeah. Anything else? Okay, let's try a couple of others. I asked my 19-year-old daughter, she was great. She told me some fantastic ones. She says, sometimes people say, I'm just being honest, right? Or I love this one. She said, it's just the way I am. You know, it's like, take me or leave me. It's the way I am. Okay. Yeah. So we know what doesn't make a good apology. And let's be honest, probably not the only one who might have used one or two of these at some point. I mean, maybe even in a conversation with my husband, just saying, right? I mean, I'm really sorry that I yelled, but like, I just want to say, I mean, like, you didn't do the thing I asked you to do, right? Okay, not so innocent. So let's think about what goes into an amazing apology. Tell me.
Validating the other person.
Validating the other person. I understand why you were so hurt. Beautiful, beautiful. What else?
What can I do to fix it?
Yes, repair. Amazing. What else?
Making it about them and not me.
Absolutely. Love it. What else? Specificity, my friends. Say what you actually did wrong. Okay? Let me give you my little cheat sheet for a great apology. Ownership. I did something. Specificity. I talked harshly when I should have talked kindly. Validation. I know that that caused you pain, and I'm really sorry about that. Repair. I'm going to do the best I can to do that differently next time. Is there something I can do to make you feel better? And then if you want to be like a real A+, you know, I'm thinking ahead to like Tishrei here. Do you forgive me? Do you forgive? And remember, people are not required to forgive you in the moment. They might need some time. Perfectly reasonable. So you're taking ownership. I did this. You're being specific. This is the thing I did. You're validating. I understand how much that hurt you, how painful it was for you. Repair. I'm going to do the best I can to do this differently. Or is there something I can do to make this up to you? And forgiveness. Would you be with it? And you'll notice, what is that mirror? Thinking ahead to Elul, Tishrei here. What is that mirror, the things I'm saying?
Steps of Teshuvah.
The Teshuva process. Yes, exactly right. Exactly right. This is one of those areas where I giggle because, like, when you're reading about the psychology of forgiveness, you know, the psychologists are writing about the Teshuva process as if they made it up. You know, like people. It came from us thousands of years ago. But yes, really is the Teshuva process. That's a thing. Okay. One more section before we chat. Here's what I noticed working with women. Typically, the hardest person that women have to forgive is ourselves. We really struggle with this. Let me ask you to think about this honestly. You don't have to raise your hand if you don't want to, but if you want to, you're welcome to. Have you done something that you regret? You've apologized for it, and if it was a situation where you could apologize, done teshuva for it, and years later you're still carrying it. Like you're not alone, Alana. Either you're not into. Yeah. Yeah. And I've spent a lot of time like asking myself, why? Why do we hold on to this? Like, I don't think that we enjoy feeling guilty, though goodness, we have plenty of practice with it. I think we're afraid of forgiving ourselves because we think things like this. Like, if I start feeling guilty or if I forgive myself, maybe it means I don't really care. If I stop punishing myself, maybe I'll stop growing. If I can forgive myself, maybe I'll minimize what I did. And I think what's interesting about those thoughts is that they sound responsive, sound like accountability. They even like sound spiritual, religiously. It's what we should be saying. Because we know Hashem wants us to take accountability. But here's the question that this whole kind of conversation has led me to. And that is, when does healthy responsibility become unhealthy self-punishment? And each of us has to look what that line is for ourselves. At some point, accountability turns into punishment and actually stops our growth. It no longer promotes our growth. And what I often tell women is, if beating yourself up was going to make you a better person, you would be a malach by now. Because you've probably done plenty of that. So that's really the question. When does holding ourselves accountable turn from growth into punishment that actually undermines our growth? Okay. So let's go back to the paper. Look at the thing that you'd like to forgive yourself for. You have something? You have something on your piece of paper that's something you'd like to forgive yourself for? Yeah? Yeah?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So imagine, Eliza, imagine that your closest friend comes to you and she expresses to you exactly the thing that you're wanting to forgive yourself for on that piece of paper, but she wants to forgive herself for this exact thing. And she tells you she's really struggling with letting it go. Okay? So I want to know if this is what you would tell her. Would you say, I hope you never forgive yourself? I hope you carry this with you forever. May this define the rest of your life.
No.
No. What do you think you might say to her? Anyone, not just Eliza. Don't mean to put Eliza on the spot. Anyone. What would you say to her?
You have to forgive yourself in order to move forward. Like,
You did the best you could with the tools you had.
I feel like it's a cop-out. I'm sorry for my thing. It's about my parenting when I was a young parent. I don't care if I made up for it, if I'm a better mother now, if I apologize to my kids. I still, sorry, I don't know what happened to my camera, but,
Yeah,
hold on, I'm gonna try it. Sorry, just a second.
No worries. Just mute one of your devices and then we'll hear you well.
Yeah, I'm trying. Hold on.
Yeah, I'm trying.
Great.
Hold on.
No problem. Keep talking, Elisa.
Sorry, hold on. Okay,
Sorry.
I think it's better now.
Now we hear you well. Yeah,
Yeah.
go ahead. So you were saying you really can't forgive yourself for the parenting you did when your kids were little, and you've grown from it. You've changed. Am I getting that right?
Yes, and I have apologized, and my kids have even told me that I'm wrong, that They don't like whatever. I know for myself, I know that I was a very young mother and did things I shouldn't have done. And I parent my 9-year-old who's 10 years younger than my youngest. I have two youngest. He's 10 years younger. I parent him totally differently. And it's not fair to my older kids that they didn't have me now as a mother. And even though they're all amazing and somehow Hashem raised them and they turned out like they shouldn't have turned out the way they did with having me as a mother, it's very hard to forgive myself.
Beautiful. Okay, thank you for your honesty, Elisa.
I'm not agreeing.
Can I say something?
Tell me, hold on 1 second before you do, Mindy, if that's okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Tell me, what are you getting out of not forgiving yourself? What does that give you? I don't forgive myself, and so that means what?
I'm just that type of person. I'm hard on myself and I sometimes think other people should be a little harder on themselves too.
So if I'm hard on myself, what does it mean?
That's her tool.
That I try to do my best, that I want to be a better person.
Beautiful. So if I'm hard on myself for things that I can't change, what does that get me?
Nowhere, I know.
Beautiful. It's okay. It's okay. You know, the longest distance is from the head to the heart, right? The longest distance. So the goal is to keep exploring that intellectual pathway. You know that rationally. You know that rationally. Having high standards does not, and I'm not asking you to lower your standards. What I am asking you to do is to consider learning from the past and letting it be gone so that it's not weighing you down in the present. Forgiving yourself does not mean you're lowering your standards because you can't change what's already happened. What you can change is what's come first.
So that I feel like I have changed because even with my older kids, I have a much warmer relationship with them now than I did when I was younger. And I am not as critical now and I don't never raise my voice at my 9-year-old. I don't think I ever did, but I did with my older ones and I can't take that away.
Exactly. And that's why forgiving yourself allows you to live with who you are right now and the bracha you bring to your kids right now, instead of being a part of you held back on what came before. And just hold that. I'm so happy you're being honest about it. Hold these thoughts because in a little bit, I'm going to share a point that I hope will help you a little. Is that okay, Elisa?
Thanks. Yeah.
Of course. Mindy, you were going to say something.
So yeah, I actually have the same thing on my list that I want to forgive myself for.
Yeah.
And I've also had conversations with my kids about it, specifically my oldest. And the only thing that's been a consolation to me, which Aliza should be helpful to you also, we learned in foundations about that we have our toolboxes. So of course I've had these conversations with my kids, and I didn't say this to them because then it would be like a cop out almost. But for me, it was a consolation that my kids had the parent that they were supposed to have at that time. Meaning, like, I'm not trying to shift the I'm still taking ownership, but they had the mother that they were supposed to have. That kid had the mother they were supposed to have at that time in their life. And of course, if I could go back, I would do things differently, but obviously we can't. But it's a little of a consolation to know that they had exactly what they were supposed to have. That helped me a little bit. It's not about forgiving myself. It's just takes away a little bit of the guilt and like that was supposed to happen for them.
That's a beautiful concept. I want to just offer one more point that I hope will be helpful, not just with the forgiveness around parenting, but anything you're trying to forgive yourself for. So we know in Devarim, which Baruch Hashem, we're just starting this week, it says, "V'alachta b'drachav." We must walk in Hashem's ways. Okay? So lots of different ways we do that, right? Hashem is merciful, we should be very merciful. Hashem is compassionate, we should be compassionate. But one of the most important phrases to me around forgiveness is from the prophet Micha. And he says, Yashuv Yerachame. Every time I read this, it gives me goosebumps. It's talking about Hashem. And it says, Hashem again will give us compassion. Again, the word again. So Hashem, he already knows us completely, knows every strength, every weakness, everything. He knows how you parented your kids in your younger years. He knows all of it. Every place we fall short. And still, he still invites us back every single time. He invites us back and shows us compassion. And it helped me so much because I realized if Hashem is not defining us by our worst moments, why are we doing that ourselves? Our job is to walk in Hashem's ways. Hashem is saying again, come back. Again, I give you complete forgiveness. Again, I ask you to move forward with a completely blank slate and I ask you to do better. So it's interesting that we somehow feel like we have the right to be harder on ourselves than Hashem is, when really our goal is to be emulating Hashem. So Lisa, I don't know if that helps for you.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to sit with it, but yeah.
Just sit
Thank
with
you.
it. Yeah, of course.
Thank you, and thank you, Mindy.
Of course, thank you both. Okay. So looking at your piece of paper again, I'd love you to think about forgiveness-wise. Is there one step you can take in the 9 days? Just one step, not a 180 degrees, but just one step that moves you in the direction of forgiveness. Either you forgiving even a tiny bit someone who's really hurt you, you just a tiny bit cracking open the door of forgiving yourself, or you having the courage to take one step forward to see if you can move more towards asking forgiveness from someone. And I'm interested to know, please don't feel like you have to share if you don't want to. I'm just interested to know if there's something, if there's a step you think you can take in these 9 days.
Feel like I can think about it because we're having this class now, and now it'll be on my mind, and maybe I can think about how I can think about maybe making those small steps. I don't know that I can actually do something, but I think I can start to think about it.
Absolutely, the small step doesn't have to be an action. It could absolutely be thought. Thoughts of being happening, right? Which is an action, but not a, call someone, show up at their front door kind of action.
Well, I think it starts within me, right? Within us. Like it has nothing to do with the other person. I mean, if it's between me and myself, yeah. But really, if I want to to forgive someone else or to ask forgiveness from someone else, it has to start within me first. It's between me and myself to get ready for that. It has nothing to do with them. And it probably has nothing to do with them at all. It has to do with me, right? That's what we're saying.
100%. And there's a lot of preparatory work that goes into it. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing. Anybody else want to share? Think about how we can perhaps move any of this forward in the next days.
I think I'm just taking one sentence out of, one of your points that I really loved, which was forgiveness with healthy boundaries. And the person that I said, when I started off and I said the person's not going to change. This is who the person is, but maybe I could just forgive that person for being that way.
Right.
With the healthy boundaries, meaning it's not about the person is who that person is, but that person's going to be in my life for, obviously it's a close person, relative, or whatever it is. So the concept of just forgiving with the healthy boundaries, I really like that a lot.
I think what you said also, forgiving them for being that way. They're not going to change, and
They're not
you can't
gonna
expect
change.
them to change, but to forgive them for who they are and that it hurts us, I think that helps.
Definitely.
That's a good one.
Beautifully put, Esther. I just want to share an initiative with you, and then we'll keep talking about this. Don't know if any of you have heard about this. It just came to my attention a couple of weeks ago. There's a beautiful initiative. Let's Hashem share the website. She can share it with you on the chat. It's called Shalom for Charlotte.
Yeah.
No.
Does anybody not know about it? Everyone knows about it. Yes. Beautiful. So this was so moving to me because this is a family who's asking other people to create more shalom, right? And so one of the things I'm thinking about for myself in these 9 days is any thought process, davening, action I'm taking related to shalom, which of course is what this 9 days is focused on, to do it in the source of Charlotte, whose parents are on a madrega I can't even see from where I am in terms of their ability to be. So I just wanted to, sounds like you know about it, which is beautiful, but just wanted to bring it to your attention because it could be, as we're having this discussion, that you're going to take something forward. You may want to think about doing it.
But if
Go ahead, please.
if you've tried forgiving and you've tried to ask for forgiveness and you've been rebuffed 152 times, it doesn't really leave you any place left to go.
So you're talking about you asked for forgiveness, and the forgiveness is not right. Is that what you're asking for me? Yeah. And you know, Torah gives us a beautiful rule for that. You have to ask 3 times, preferably in 3 different ways. Really being yes, work to soften other person's hearts. But once that has been dismissed or refused 3 times, you have no more responsibility to ask for forgiveness. And then the only responsibility we have is to work through your own feelings, so you can either forgive the other person if there's something to forgive, or forgive yourself if that's where it's to. But really, the Torah gives us a very clear boundary around it, which I really appreciate, because it tells us when your work is done. We try 3 times in different ways. You know, you ask your rabbi or rebbetzin, sometimes they'll say, try it with a gift, try it with in person, try it through a different person, you can act as a mediator, these kinds of things. But once those 3 sincere efforts have been made, it's not your responsibility anymore. Hashem says, I see you. I see you. That's no longer your God. He says, I'm taking care of that. You work on forgiving yourself.
I feel like
Things are very hard. Go ahead, Alana.
I feel like we as a Habura have spoken about this many times. And I feel like maybe before we started the work on it, I saw forgiveness as like how we learn about it in school, asking for tshuva. Oh, I'm so sorry. Do you forgive me? Right. But I think after we started work on it and learned about it, again, like, I don't think it's about the other person. I think it's about us working on, if I did something wrong to you, really working on being sorry about it and coming to terms with, I did something wrong. I need to resolve it whatever way I can. And I'll ask you for forgiveness because I'm gonna own up to it, and I'm going to say, oh, I'm so sorry, whatever I did. If the other person hasn't worked on their self to be able to forgive you, because it's the same work, that's not on you, right? That's not on us. I think it's all work in ourselves. Even if it has to do with another person, it really has to do with us. And we have to do the work ourselves, and whatever the other person is able to do, great. And if they can't, they can't, but we do our part.
Milana, that's really the difference between forgiveness and reconciliation, right?
Right.
Reconciliation takes two people. Both people have to come to the party, the reconciliation party, and the
Right.
repair building and the trust building party.
Right.
But forgiveness requires just one person, and that's you. Yeah, which I think is very empowering, frankly, because we can't control anybody else.
Right.
We're working so hard just to control ourselves.
But the hurt keeps coming back. So as you said, the spiral
Right.
has to keep happening because in that case, when the other person is not interested, then the hurt keeps coming back. So we have to keep forgiving. So it's not
Keep
a
forgiving
process.
Exactly right. And there are two things that are important in that scenario, Hani. Number one is healthy boundaries. Hashem does not ask us to be a shmata. You don't put yourself next to the person endlessly who's going to hurt you. And number two is repeated forgiveness, because probably even if you set very healthy boundaries, if they're in your extended family, for example, the hurt's going to come. Exactly right. There's one more piece that maybe we'll say for another day about hard thing to talk about, but this concept, sometimes we have to do forgiveness work in ourselves to forgive Hashem. So it's just a thing to think about.
I have to say something about that because I just read a book by Dr. Bayak. And it was the 4 things we have to say. And the first is, please forgive me. Second is, I forgive you. The third is, thank you. And the last one is, I love you. 4 things we should say to people. And I finished the book and I was like, wait, I want to say these 4 things to Hashem. I really do. I really do. I want to say, I mean, maybe it's a chutzpah, but I want to say, please forgive me. And then maybe it's a chutzpah to say, I forgive you to Hashem. Really, with all my Holocaust background and all of that, I have to say that. I really have to say that and mean it. And thank you and I love you, which I say all the time. But those two things, please forgive me and I forgive you, are please forgive me and I forgive you, are very much, I think, now in play.
I think you're exactly right. I love Arabayak's work. I think those 4 statements are so incredibly powerful. And I just want to tell you one thing that I think is important. I'm just looking for my quote here. But it says in Gemara, and no, I'm definitely not capable of quoting the Gemara without looking at it. So you might just have to trust me. Oh, here we go. Ein Adam nit pas b'shas tzaro. A person is not held accountable for words spoken during intense pain. And that's a very comforting thing, because I have had periods in my life where I've been very angry with Hashem. Both personally and nationally, on the national level. And I think it's tremendously powerful that we're told that in the Gemara. And the way that, who's the Rabbi? Oh, Rabbi Moshe Tendler, I was forgetting who it was. I want to give him credit. He explains this so beautifully. He says, pain has a voice of its own, and it drowns out all of the other voices, even the voice of him. And he says Hashem knows the difference. He knows the difference. He can tell what that voice of pain is, and he takes it how it is, as a voice of pain. That was very comforting to me. I think, Hani was saying maybe it's chutzpahdik to say, I forgive you. I think Hashem, based on what I see in Tehillim with David HaMelech, I think Hashem wants all of our feelings, all of them. I think he has no problem handling the anger, the pain, the distress, the anguish. And I think we sell ourselves short when we don't give those to him as well.
Leah Alshwing had a question. Leah.
Please.
I don't think so.
You did something with your hand? No?
Not allowed to move your hands, ladies. You'll be called on immediately. So I wanted to just check, does anybody have any other questions? I know I threw a lot of information at you tonight, a lot of any questions, comments, reflections, anything you want to say?
I have a question.
Elisa, was that you?
Yeah.
Said you had a question?
Yeah, I have a
please.
question. That Gemara is that a person is not held accountable for something they say in pain?
Correct.
But that
pain
might be
meaning physical pain or emotional pain.
Right, but that might be a comfort for us that when we were in pain, we might have said something wrong that we can't be held accountable for. But what if someone else said something to us in pain? You know what I mean? Like, it sounds like a little bit of an excuse. Like, we could just say, oh, well, I was in pain, so I couldn't
doesn't
help
mean it
it. And
doesn't
someone
cause
else could
someone else
say,
pain.
So it's
right,
not
but
that we're saying, this is particularly actually in relation to Hashem.
that's what I wanted to ask. Was it directed to Hashem or just in general?
In relationship to Hashem. Now, we should have tremendous, it is both, and I'll tell you why. We should have tremendous compassion for other people who are responding from a place of pain.
Right.
And if we respond from a place of pain, we should have tremendous compassion for ourselves. And we shouldn't use it as an excuse. But we should understand where we're coming from and then do the repair that we need.
Okay.
But specifically, it is both for sure, but I specifically want to bring it out in relation to Hashem, because sometimes I talk to women who feel like Hashem can only handle when we're saying thank you and asking very nicely, please. But actually, he wants us to bring all of these feelings to him. He has no problem handling our anger. It's okay. And I love that concept from Rabbi Tendler, that Hashem knows the difference. So you don't have to worry. He understands that voice of pain. And he sees that you're struggling, and he gets it. It's okay. You don't need to censor yourself. Does that help, Elisa?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, of course. Any other comments, questions, or reflections? And of course, honey, I think you can give my phone number to anybody. If you don't want to ask anything in the group, please text me, or if you think of something next week, 2 weeks' time, whenever, be in touch. I want to end with a bracha, if that's okay. So here we are. It's now pretty dark outside here. We're in the 9 days, the month of Av. Remember, Av is our father, who's holding us with tremendous compassion. Remember also Av, Aleph, Bet. We're in the month of Emunah and Bitachon. So for those of us who feel these 9 days very strongly and deeply, remember, we're coming to them with tremendous emunah and bitachon. We are not alone, ever, and especially in these 9 days. And I want to give you a bracha that you may have the courage to forgive when you're ready, the wisdom to know that healthy boundaries are still needed, the faith to believe that genuine growth is always possible. May each of us take one small step, whatever it is, towards greater shalom and greater Ahavas Israel in this period of time. Thank you, ladies, so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I hope to see you all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.